Hey guys, okay, so this is a different kind of video, and this is a video in which I'm going to show you how I go about identifying items for you to sell on eBay or Amazon or wherever else you want. But I see this question come up quite a lot now in the Facebook UK resellers group, and also now on the resellers forum, which I'll put a link in the description. This is basically a forum that's created by a whole bunch of resellers, real top resellers in their field, and there's so many names that's been involved in it that I won't go through all of them, but it's a really nice tight-knit community where we can all share help and advice and tips and things to look out for, arbitrage deals, and just helpful advice and tutorials and all the great things that you need to know when you're reselling. And but I've seen this question come up as well. They're saying about how do I identify the item so I know how much it's worth. It's fine if you've got a sealed Monopoly London, for example. You can just type that into Amazon, you can type that into eBay, and you can get a very quick idea of how much that's worth. But not everybody's has items that are that easy to recognize. So I have a couple of items here, and the first one is this pewter jug, okay, or tankard. Now, although I know what both of these items are, okay, this is the first one, and the second one is this here, okay. Now I know what these are already, because this one I purchased because I knew what it was, and this one I didn't. This one I just I saw it in a shop and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try that. It's something new. I've not tried it before. It's not the one with the see-through bottom that you often see in charity shops. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. And although I know what these are, I'm going to act as though I don't, act as though I've just bought them and I'm checking these up for the first time. This is what I would do. This is my procedure to check what they are. So I'm going to go with this first. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to try and visually identify your item. Now, we know it's, even if you don't know it's a tankard, you know it's a cup, okay? You know it's not a mug, but it's certainly a cup. It looks like a beer cup, Imagine you don't know what it is. However, on the bottom, it clearly states James Dixon and Sons, Sheffield, Cornish pewter, okay? So I've got my desktop up here, and I'm going to type in James Dixon and Sons. Okay, now obviously the good thing about Google is it will kind of try and auto-fill the most likely answers. So what those basically mean is that anyone who's typed in James Dixon and Sons, more people have typed in hallmarks than, say, teapot, powder flask, or pewter. They are the top 4 most searched for keywords when anybody has typed in James Dixon and Sons. Now, one of them does relate to us because this is pewter, so we could click on pewter, or we could dive in a little bit more. So James Dixon and Sons, Sheffield, Cornish pewter. Okay, so I'm going to type in Sheffield. Now, as you can see, look at the top result there, Cornish pewter. So clearly these are items that a lot of people are finding, and they're looking to try and find out what they are. So I'm going to click on this first one here, and you don't want to click on I'm feeling lucky, just click on the actual name, and let's see what comes up. James Dixon and Sons pewter. Now that's an eBay store, that's eBay, pewter bank, and it gives you obviously some really good advice on them, and we know it's a cup, okay. Now obviously it's a tankard, but let's assume you don't know it's a tankard and you just think, well, that's some sort of cup. So let's just type in cup. Okay, now we go on to images. We click on the image tab and basically try and find something that's kind of similar. These are kind of similar, and it doesn't have to be exact. In fact, that one there is the exact one. That is this one. Now mine is slightly different because on the side it says Sunbury Amateur Regatta 1949. Now, not all of them will have that. That's been engraved after the sale has taken place, or it's a custom make. Now, what that basically is, the Sunbury Amateur Regatta is actually a boat race, it was cancelled during the war, and 1949 was actually the first year that it was allowed to be raced after the war. So just by typing in the Sunbury Amateur Regatta 1949, I managed to find that out. So in my auction, I've added the fact that this was the very first one that was granted after World War II, and it gives it a bit more of an identity. With vintage stuff, especially like this isn't like a board game that you buy for Christmas and it gets left in a drawer. This is something that somebody would buy and not necessarily treasure, but they know what it is and they understand the meaning behind it. So something like that, you want to put in as much detail, as much information as possible that you can find. And Google is the best place for that, without doubt. Don't use Bing, okay, use Google. Google will tell you as much as you need to know. So for example, this is on Etsy. Somebody has sold this exact one on Etsy. Once again, obviously theirs probably wouldn't be engraved. Obviously the item is sold. Now what we can do, this doesn't always work, but what we can do is if we right click on the link and do copy link location, we can search for that link, okay? And now obviously in this case it didn't work. Oh, actually let me try it again, because it copied the Google link, which is no good. So let's try this again. Let's go there. Let's copy this link. This is the Etsy link that it came up with, and do a search. Now if you notice with Google, there's this little arrow underneath. If you click that, it comes up cached. Now this only is for when you get a situation like this where the item that you want to look for, the page you want to look for, is no longer there. Now what it means is obviously the person who was selling this on Etsy sold it. So now of course it's no longer there for us to view. But all you have to do is click on that cached part, and this will bring up an old page. Now it will see if it's on here. Okay, so there we go. This was what the person listed, and they listed it as a vintage James Dixon Cornish pewter tankard, 1 pint, which I believe this actually is. It does actually say on the bottom 1 PT, so that would mean 1 pint. Tankard, beer mug, ale tankard, vintage serving pint mug. So now we now not only do we know what it is, just by this quick simple search, we also know what keywords to try and aim for. Now they put it down as a vintage item as well. It's a somebody with very good feedback, so they're not going to buy junk to resell. Now obviously I don't know how much this sold for, but down here you've also got vintage Cornish pewter tankard by James Dixon & Sons, Sheffield, measures 1 pint, fully stamped to the base, which it is. You may not really see, but it is stamped. The odd mark here and there, which yeah would kind of describe this one as well, but no dents. And there's the exact measurements. Thank you for looking. And yeah, I mean, if I was really that worried, I could message this person, Nancy Plage, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could quite happily message her and say, I really hope you don't mind me messaging you. I happen to have one of these, and you could save her picture and take a picture of your own. Could you by any chance maybe let me know, what you sold it for? And if she comes back saying, oh, I sold it for £10, then at least you know it's worth a good minimum of £10. Now that's on Etsy, of course. Every marketplace is different. eBay, you might be able to ask for a bit more. I actually have mine listed for £20 on eBay. That might be a bit high. I'm not too sure. I didn't actually message this user, but I just used my own judgment of what I would kind of like back. Now, the base of mine, if you look at the picture on your screen, the base of mine is actually exactly the same, pretty much. Except with hers, she has like a star, and I have a V. So obviously now I know that mine's slightly different. So you could then do a search for pewter markings V, and what does that mean? So let's give that a go. I've not done this myself, so let's see what exactly it means. So let's type in pewter markings V. Pretty sure it's just V. Well, actually, it might be a Y. That's my mistake. It's a Y. So let's have a look. Is it a triangle? Nope, it's just by itself. So let's try images again. And if I can't find it, I would maybe, if I was that worried, which I'm not overly worried, but if I was that worried, I would perhaps go to a pewter forum and maybe make a post saying, oh, I have this item, or maybe a Sheffield pewter forum and say, I've got this item, what do you guys, do you know what this Y means, or do you know what the V means? It's none of those really, because these are in boxes. So, but yeah. So already we know what it is. It's called a tankard. We know what keywords to go for. We know somebody has sold it in the past, and now you can go onto, of course, eBay and search for Sheffield pewter tankard. So let's go on eBay and let's have a look. So let's type in James Dixon and Sons pewter. Let me spell it right. Pewter tankard. That one is actually the same as mine, or is it? No, sorry, it's not. That one's a straight. If you look at mine, kind of like bowls out at the bottom, so the base is bigger. That one's actually straight, so that's slightly different. His one's also engraved. It is actually, yeah, see, his one has T at the top. Mine is Y or V. I think it's Y. And that's a half pint, mine's 1 pint. So, let's have a look. In fact, I could narrow it down and put 1 pint. Now this video is probably going to go on a little bit because I'm not going to edit anything. I'm just going to do it exactly. Now that one's actually mine. Okay, it's found my own one there. And just to prove it, there we go. Smart's Warehouse, that's me. I've had some good views, 54 views. But yeah, that one is actually mine. And I took pictures of the, every section you can imagine. I've got 2 watches on it, so it will sell. Maybe not just yet, but it will sell. At the time of listing this, I couldn't see any others, but I don't know. I mean, this one, look at this one here. But this is a brass rim, £130 he's listed it for. All these are quite different designs to mine. So yeah, I think 20 is, maybe a good price range to list it for this. But yeah, so you've seen that without, I tried to avoid putting any information that I already knew from my research on it. And that's just by visually looking at the markings and the shape and typing in what I think it is to the best of my knowledge. And also, we're now going to look at this next. Now, once again, I know what it is, but assuming I don't, I know it's a skull. I know it's a monster face or of some kind. The eyes are purple. It looks as if, now I know this already, but it looks as if the eyes light up. They look like bulbs. So you take that out, and it's got a battery compartment. So now I know that there's a good chance that the eyes light up. So that's something that I can type in. Okay. Let's close this up for a minute. Okay. And I'm going to look on the bottom, and on the bottom it says Bluebird Toys PLC, Swindon, England, 1994. So with that known, we're going to type in Bluebird Toys 1994. Now we find out that Bluebird Toys make Polly Pocket. Now if you click on images, you'll see that Polly Pocket it's very girly. Okay, it's clearly aimed at the female market. This isn't very girly. This is a boy's toy. You can clearly see it's like a monster head. Okay, so by looking around, let's see what we can find here. Okay, we've got the Bluebird. We'll open it up. Let's have a look. get all this cool stuff inside. It all opens up and it looks like some sort of monster kind of dungeon effect type of thing. So we know that it's definitely probably aimed at the boys market. So let's ignore Polly Pocket because that's definitely for girls. Let's scroll down. What we got here? We got this little bug thing. We have this little guy here. Oh, we have a monster hand. There we go. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so we've got a monster hand. And let's have a look. And there we go. Mighty Max Assaults Skullmaster. Now already I can see. Let me close this up properly. It's not closed properly. There we go. Now already I can see that I'm missing a few items. I'm missing these little wings here. Obviously I've got some of the little toys which obviously for this example I assumed you didn't have the toys, but I do actually have all the little toys as well. This guy was bought separately and these guys came with it, so it is complete apart from the wings. So I'm like, okay, so now I know it's called the Mighty Max Assaults Skullmaster. Okay, mega heads. So let's copy that. Now let's type just that in to Google. And yeah, you can definitely see now that it's that's definitely what I have. Now, surprisingly, when you type that in, this picture here is actually mine. That's my photo from eBay. It's showing up on eBay IE at the moment as well, which is pretty cool. But that is actually me. This one here is me. There we go, Smart's Warehouse, and that is actually mine. That's the exact one, and it shows the eyes light up. Once again, I knew that anyway, but even without knowing it, it was easy to tell because it looks like bulbs in the eye. That one's not loaded, but yeah. So yeah, so that's my one. That's this one here. But that aside, let's come out of it and we can go right. Okay, I now know what it's called. Let's go on eBay and see how much this is worth. Now I would say it's worth about $18.99 as that's what I've listed it for. but assuming that you haven't, let's have a look. Mighty Max Assaults Skullmaster. Now, when you type it in, mine is actually the first one that comes up for those keywords. The other one is listed for £10, which is very cheap. I must admit. Now, I'm not sure why this guy's listed for £10. He might just want a very quick sale. Some parts might be missing. That's fair enough. Now, I listed mine at $18.99, despite the wings being missing. The reason is, if I click on sold listings down here, you can see, even without the wings, these things can go for quite good money. This one here, £39.99. And if I open up this one went on September 15th. Now this one says 100% complete with all correct accessories. So clearly that's why this one went for 40 quid. Now if I scroll down, let's see if he's got all the wings with his. Yeah, so he's got the wings with his and he's got all the extra little bits and pieces that come with it. Mine is missing a few items. So clearly he got 40 quid for his because his is complete. Mine isn't, which is why I've got mine listed for £19 because it has sold in the past. Well, when I listed it, it sold in the past without the wings for about £25, which is why I listed it at £18.99. I may have to rethink that if basically you're not selling for that amount complete anymore. But I'm going to close his jaw because also what you get underneath, which I didn't show you when I was identifying it, is underneath it says MM. So before we knew it was a Skullmaster, I mean obviously I just typed in Bluebird Toys 1994 and found it. But if for some reason yours wasn't there, you could just also type in MM and that would probably then realise that it was a Mighty Max toy. And there you go. So the good thing is, once you know what it is, once you identify it, you can then also see what parts you're missing. Now that's what I did. I knew I was missing the wings. I knew I was missing a few weapons. and I knew I was missing some of these guys, which obviously I bought afterwards. This guy is Norman, so yeah, so I did that afterwards. So yeah, that's how I identify items. I hope it's not been too long for you. I hope that I'll try to go as slow and as precise as possible. There'll always be items that are a bit tricky. Trainers are very tricky. Typing in Nike trainers, for example, you know, you get met with thousands of different variants, colours, etc. The thing with trainers, I've actually got some over there, but they're buried at the moment. They have little codes inside on the tag, colour code and style code. If you type them in, usually the exact trainer you have, the exact boot or shoe you have will come up right on the screen. And if it doesn't for some reason, then unfortunately you kind of have to sit there and, you know, I for example at the moment have a pair of Nike Total 90, I believe, but you can see that it's actually this pair I have, but in like a silver and blue. That looks more like white and blue, but yeah, so it's kind of that type. However, mine doesn't say zoom, so mine's not the Air Zoom, mine's just a Total 90. And I believe, you know, if that's all I knew, then look at the amount you'd have to scroll through. So unfortunately, sometimes you do have to just, you know, make yourself a coffee, or in my case, I've got a bottle of Dr. Pepper here that I kind of swig on now and again. But just make yourself a coffee, maybe put some music on, headphones on, and just go through these until you suddenly go, oh, hang on, they're the ones that I have. And then once you have the name, you can then search for that name on eBay, on Google, and get all the information you need. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been of some help. If it hasn't, hey, I tried. So thank you very much, and don't forget to check out the forum. I've put the link in the description, and of course the Facebook group, the UK reseller group, is still active. You know, there's still people in there, so don't think that everyone's gone away from that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and good luck identifying your items. Cheers.